now 7:15. I call this meeting of the General Government and Public Safety Committee to order. Attendance has been taken, I know, pledge of allegiance, comments from citizens.
Which board are you doing now?
General Government and Public Safety.
General Government Public Safety.
Yes, sir.
It's regarding the police department.
Okay,
So I've been having issues for many years with them.
okay.
My,
Can you state your name and address for the
my name
record,
is
please?
Dustin Nichols. I reside at 612 South Clayton. Been a resident of Centralia for 10 plus years. But, say it's costing me thousands of dollars. I got a domestic and assault and everything, because cops have refused to actually listen to what's going on. I say I got that domestic because I was assaulted by my ex while I was sleeping. She kicked me in the chest. The recording officer, Delaney, came there, recorded it on scene. You know, we were face to face, and you know, I shoved off, made a marker on her head. Well, Officer Delaney didn't bother to look at my chest where she was kicking me or anything. He comes out, puts me in custody. I'm arrested for domestic. Bond out, that costs me money, everything costs money. Now I got a domestic on it. And then, here a while back, my ex did my taxes and fraudulently had a card made in my name, sent to her house. I called the cops about it, and Officer Davenport reported to it. And, you know, she was in possession of my card. And basically, she said she wanted her share out of it, blah, blah, blah. And then, basically,
your car?
a prepaid card from TurboTax.
Oh, okay, okay.
That was sent to her address.
Okay.
And, you know, she done spent thousands of dollars on it. And I actually called the cops to get my card back. Davenport called it a civil matter. And so basically I had to leave without my card, a card that was issued with my tax money on it, with my name on it.
Okay.
And then, I'm not done yet.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
And then, you know, just the other night, I had a cop meet me at the intersection of Allen and Singleton right here. Well, as I drove down Singleton, you know, I seen him pulling off of Allen Street. So to me, it means he flipped a U-turn. What for? I don't know. Get all the way down Singleton. He's gaining on me the whole time. Turning onto Jefferson Street. And, you know, he still turns behind me. You know, I'm doing 20, 22 right in that area. And he's gaining on me. All right, get out to stop sign at 7th Street.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't have been this close to me. I mean, what for? Why did he speed through a school zone to get behind me? He never pulled me over. I mean, to me, that's some type of harassment.
Yeah, so, as I understand it, that you just filled out a complaint regarding that one today.
Yep.
They haven't had time to do any type of investigation with that yet.
Yeah, but that's also why I'm here. It's like, nothing gets done.
Yeah.
You know, I got domestic, nothing got done about that.
Okay.
You know, I'm tired of the cops being biased. Why? Because they show up. I've called the cops 2 years ago. I called the cops 12 times. Never once arrested my ex. She called them once. That's when I went to jail. You're talking from, she destroyed $700 worth of my clothes. Didn't do anything. She violated an order of protection. They didn't do anything. And then
Have you,
something else.
I'm not a lawyer.
It's just nonstop.
Yeah.
No, these cops aren't listening.
Okay.
Oh, and then just a month ago, I had my ex show up, sent in my boy to take my Xbox. Well, I took the Xbox console to my room. And, well, he took the cords and took them out to his mom's car. His mom called the cops, said I was keeping her Xbox. Officer Delaney again shows up on scene and says, you know, it's a civil matter and everything else, and acknowledged my property was in her car, and he let her leave with it. Like, I don't understand. You can't say this is mine and take it without showing ownership, but a cop allowed that. a cop allowed my ex to keep
So-
a card with my name on it.
Okay, just kind of looking at this from right now, from what you're telling me, I don't have enough information to make a decision. You know, a lot of these go back to, he said, she said, I don't know what the status of your divorce or your separation was at that time.
Because they refused to listen to me.
Well, so bringing it to this board,
They're-
you know, bring it out and open and everybody gets
I'm
to
asking
hear
for-
your side.
I'm asking for the cops to be open-minded and hear the story.
And,
And
I mean, I don't know what her side of the story is, you know. So-
We're not here to adjudicate,
Oh, I know.
you know, a criminal matter, but
I know.
in the case of you with your domestic charge,
no,
what was the disposition on that? How did it, what was the outcome? Is it still pending?
no, I pleaded out. That was a couple of years ago.
Okay.
I mean, what am I supposed to do? Take a recorder?
No,
I
but I mean,
prove nothing.
But this
The cop-
board isn't here to
right,
make a
the
decision
cop that
whether or not
recorded
it's
it, I
valid or
seen,
not.
should have listened, but he, I don't know why. That's what they need done. They need to be told, you guys need to listen to both sides of the stories fully, no matter who it is, no matter whether it's the male or the female.
So is today the first time you filled out a complaint?
Formally, yeah. So, I mean, I've told people about it, I've told cops about it, and it's just whatever.
If you filed the complaint, we gotta have time to work for it.
All right, well, this complaint, I'm asking that, this cop be issued tickets. This cop that decided to flip a U-turn or whatever he did to get behind me, he sped through a school zone. All right, I understand, if you are pursuing me, you have every right to. But I never got pulled over. So why was he speeding through the school zone to get behind me?
What time of day is this?
11:30 at night.
That's very nice.
I don't think it really matters. I mean, if I turn around and follow you a block from your house, do you think that's right? I mean, what's right and what's wrong? Why did he go out of his way?
With us not having any of the files in front of us, we haven't had any time to look at it. We can't answer those questions for you.
Right.
So if you're asking for us to do an investigation, figure out what's going on, that's what we can do, and that's
Yeah.
what we can say that we can do.
All right.
But right
Well-
now, we can't give you answers to
Right.
those questions because we don't have all of the information.
All right.
It's not a
When I,
place to
when
get
I went in
there.
there, when I went to the police station earlier today, and spoke with Chris, you know, he came out with an attitude already. And then, you know, I told him about, well, you know, he was speeding through the school zone, you know, like a ticket issue. Do you have your radar? That's how Officer Chris come at me. Not, well, we can look into this and do an investigation. No, did you have a radar? Yeah, I carry it in my back pocket. You guys can do an investigation. You guys can look at my speed or the speed of the cop car. I know you guys can figure that out. Whether you take the video footage, you do foot by foot, and then calculate it by math, you can figure out how fast he was going. And I can guarantee you, it's over the speed limit. I mean, what gives him the right to break the law?
Yeah. And we don't know, you know, we don't know what kind of call was issued, or if he was issued a call or something, we just don't know that yet.
Well, and as with any citizen, we owe you investigation, you filed a complaint.
Right.
And we have to go from there.
All right.
So,
I don't want results from it.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was speeding,
And-
and you guys
I-
can determine that.
I personally can't guarantee the result, but I can guarantee you that we can investigate it. I mean, that's
Right.
part of our duty.
And I should have the right to know what's the way you guys went about it.
Actually, if it's a personnel matter, we wouldn't dispose of it. Legally, we cannot. So,
Well, thank you for bringing it to our attention, and we'll look into it.
Any other comments from citizens? Hearing none, moving on to Jen Thompson, presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to come. Janet Thompson, Northern District Commissioner for Boone County. Mayor, it was interesting to me that you started this, these meetings tonight with the presentation, the proclamation about county government and local government, right? This is, And what we have heard here tonight really is the essence of local government that, and I was at a Missouri Association of Counties meeting earlier today. In fact, it was one of those Our Lady of the Long Way, it was all day, down in Jeff City. And Governor Parson was the first one to speak. And he said, you know, he has served in local government. He was a sheriff before he got into state government. And he said, you know, what is done at the local level, as you were saying, whether it's a school board, whether it's a municipal board, whether it's a county commission, any of those things, it's so important because we are the people that citizens can stop us in the grocery store. And they do. In church and wherever, and come here and seek redress of their perceived wrongs. So thank you all for everything you do, because this is the place where government happens. And so speaking of government, 200 years ago, minus 1 year, Boone County actually was formed. And we are getting ready to celebrate the bicentennial of Boone County in 2020. And there are people here in your community who are on the county bicentennial committee. Alderman Borman is part of our group. And kind of an ad hoc member, Jenny from the Chamber of Commerce has helped us out, and another Centralia member, Margie Motley, is on our group because she by herself can write a history book, essentially, of this part of the county. So I'd like to briefly tell you about 3 things that are of interest, and one thing that is specific interest, and I hope specific participation is here in the Centralia area. The first thing is that one of the things that our committee is doing is to create a tabletop, like coffee table book that talks about Boone County then and now, over 200 years. So it's not just a recitation of what we looked like 200 years ago, but what we've looked like across those 200 years. And it's every part of Boone County. It's from the Centralia area down to the very tip, from the areas around the river, which were very different kinds of communities, to the railroad towns, from the town in which we ended up with a state university and some colleges, to very small burbs that really were very integral parts of our development, and even some parts of Boone County that have disappeared, which is kind of interesting when you look at post offices and those things when they existed. There was a post office in a town just north of Harrisburg before Harrisburg got one. That town disappeared. Their post office kept going for a while, but they actually were recognized by the federal government before Harrisburg was. So that's kind of a source of annoyance to the people of Harrisburg, but it's interesting. So there'll be a tabletop, this coffee table book, and what we're asking of people around here in Harrisburg, or in Centralia rather, is do you have photographs? Do you have documents? Do you have memories about this part of Boone County? Do you have something that you'd be willing for us to borrow, to scan, so that we can create for that book a piece of the book that's specific to Centralia? Ms. Motley has said, come over into the Historical Society, and we're making good use of that. But this is about us. This is about not just what's already collected and sort of, the dry and dusty stuff. It's what it is that we think is important, our family's histories that made this area develop. So if you would please kind of think about that. Tell your friends, tell your colleagues, tell your neighbors that we're looking for those stories about Boone County, to really make this a living document that says to people, this is what we were in 2020, and this is how we perceived our history for the last 200 years. So the second, so that's first. The second thing is July 4th of 2020. Put it on your calendars now, please. We would like to, and we're going to have a birthday party. And it's pretty much of an old-fashioned birthday party. And part of that birthday party will be down at the county courthouse, which was the piece of the county seat where government was established first in Boone County. And we will have that afternoon from 4 to 6 p.m. We're gonna have an old-fashioned birthday party with cake, with ice cream, with lemonade, with all that kind of stuff. And we're going to have the day be all about the communities, because this bicentennial committee has really looked at this as many communities, one county. So to be respectful and to be inclusive of all of the activities that are going along that day, for instance, there's a parade down in Ashland that starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. There's a really fun parade in Rocheport that starts at 10. You've got to go to this parade. If you've never been there, it's a hoot. I went one time, and one of the floats in the parade was a dad pulling a boat with his daughter sitting in the boat holding a cat. It was the best. That was a float in the parade. I mean, you just visualize that. That's kind of the way Rocheport does their parades. It's just really fun. So there'll be those parades. As I understand it, there's the bell ringing here that will happen, and that's about noon, I think, was what I was told.
Usually about 10 o'clock.
Okay, so we're trying to get those things lined out so that everybody knows where they're gonna go in the morning. Afternoon, we'll start with the birthday party, and we hope that people will support the local stuff that's going on, to stick around in Boone County for the 4th of July and really enjoy that birthday party. The interesting piece about our birthday party, our 200th birthday party, is it's also the 100th birthday of the signing of the 19th Amendment, the ratification of the 19th Amendment. The last state came in that made the 19th Amendment law in 2020. And so the League of Women Voters is having its centennial. So we're gonna fold that in and talk about women's rights and women getting the right to vote in 1920. So it'll be a fun way to celebrate that as well. So second thing, birthday party. And what we'd love to do is have representation from each of the communities in Boone County there on the courthouse plaza. We're gonna close down the streets around the plaza, so we'll have the ability to have a booth or a tent or an area that's dedicated to each community within Boone County there on the courthouse plaza, so people can see it, people can say, this is what Centralia is about. This is what Ashland's about. This is what Sturgeon's about, etc. So it's not all about Columbia. It's all about many communities, one county. So stay tuned for more. We're developing that right now, but we'll be back and asking for we hope, your participation in that. The third thing, and this is more time intensive right now, is we've obtained the services of a woman named Stacy Self. She goes by the name Wildy, and when you talk to her, you say, I don't know how you got that nickname. She is an artist, educator, and her business is located in downtown Columbia. And if you've been to the True Falls Film Festival or Roots and Blues or a lot of festivals like that here in Boone County, you may have seen her work. She does collaborative murals. And it's really fun because it's usually used as a team building kind of a process. But what she does for us is she's going to use that collaborative process to help us build a map of Boone County. And what that map is going to be, so think, if you can, visualize the outline of Boone County, and then think of it as a large puzzle. And the puzzle piece that is the greater Centralia area will be the piece that she will create with input, first of all, from citizens of this area to say, what is it that makes this area what it is? You know, what are the natural places, the places, the buildings, the people, the events? What is it that made Centralia what it is now? So over the last 200 years, what is that? what does that include? And so what we're hoping to do is schedule a time and place up here in Centralia for members of the community to come in and tell her, what are the top 5 or 6 things that really make you think Centralia? And with that input, then she will line out on a piece of plywood that's like 4 by 8. So this is gonna be a ginormous map of Boone County, right? But about a piece of plywood about 4 by 8, she will line out what that looks like. And then she'll bring that back up here for the people of Centralia to actually pay. Next step of the process, she kind of makes it pretty. She does the artistic thing on top of the artwork that's been done. And then the final piece of the process is all of those pieces, all of those puzzle pieces will be put together into the map of Boone County. And the only wall that we found that was an uninterrupted wall that was 30 foot tall is in the Boone County History and Culture Center. And Chris Campbell, the executive director, has said we can have that big wall, it's a 35-foot wall. We can have that big wall in 2020 to put that entire map of Boone County up so that everybody can see what Boone County looks like, what we all think Boone County looks like. At the end of 2020, Centralia's piece will come back to Centralia for you all to hang wherever you think it's appropriate. And for people 25 years, 50 years, whatever from now, to say that's what my parents, my grandparents, whatever, thought that their community was. So we're really excited about this. This is, we've had listening sessions now in, let's see, Ashland was the first one. We have had one in Harrisburg. We'll have one later this week in Columbia. I think Sturgeon will be next week. We've got Rocheport planned, I think, for early May. But what we'd love to do is get Centralia on the schedule so that we can have that listening session first for Stacy to hear what it is, what this artwork needs to encompass. Then she'll go back to her den and figure it out and then bring it back up here for the painting. So that's what I'm here asking is for your help in doing that. There is a cost to this, and if you can help, or if businesses in the community can help, or individuals can help, that would be great. The cost for each piece is $1,800. Stacy cut the cost like in half because she thinks this is an important community activity and she wants to see that map of Boone County. So again, if you can donate, we'd sure appreciate it. So we've had some donations from private individuals thus far. Some pieces of Boone County have already said they're going to go ahead and pay for that. John Glasscock was kind of funny. He said, "I'll write the check." And I said, "Great, John, I love it." I said, "Are you going to ask your mayor?" He said, "Well, yeah, probably have to ask the mayor too." But there's, and there's some communities that are better off financially, so they're going to be it's going to be easier for them. For some communities, it's harder, and that's why we're also soliciting help from the private community. So if you can help, we'd sure appreciate it. But the first thing right now is, because we want this done, we want this map of Boone County to be here, because I think it's going to be so cool to really represent our history. So if you can help us, schedule a date, schedule a place for the listening session, and then later on for the painting. I think that's the place we'd like to start. So do you have any questions?
Would you, listening session, would that be during the week or a weekend? Or
She can do it either way. What we've had so far, the one in Ashland was on a Saturday morning. Lynn Wolford very kindly facilitated that. We had it at Southern Boone Regional Library. And we did that Saturday morning from 9 until 10:30. Usually an hour to an hour and a half is okay. I remember who I forgot. We went to Hallsville the other night. We went during the week in Hallsville in the evening, early evening. We did Harrisburg on a weeknight. So what we're trying to do is make sure that the most people possible can get there. because during a weekday, no. You know, most of us, yeah, most people work. So you're just gonna get a very small sector. So it's either, and that really is dependent on you all, what you think is gonna get the most people in the community, whether that's a weekend or a weeknight. So,
And we can use the community room
Yeah.
for the project.
that'd be wonderful. Thank you. It's really, I mean, if you've seen Stacy's work, it's just stunning. She's told me I can't paint, but.
So, the Missouri Municipal League had a board meeting
Uh-huh.
in Columbia last year, 2 years ago. And Stacy came and all of the board members painted a part of the NML
Uh-huh.
mural.
Oh, how fun.
And then she put it together and made a little plaque for everybody that was part of that.
Yeah.
So, pretty neat.
You know, and
Very
her,
good.
her work is really, really special, and like I said, to me, what's fun is we'll have that time for the whole map to be up, and
Right.
all together, and then each piece goes back to its community. So you'll have that, and the other piece that we're trying to find a vendor for is what we're hoping to do is have smaller commemorative puzzles made with all that art on them, so that can be something that individuals can purchase, so that they'd have that in their homes that replicate the entire map of Boone County.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really exciting, I think. So I hope that can work for you all. We're excited about it.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Moving on to Public Safety Fire Department. The report is in your packet. Anything you want to point out?
That's pretty self-explanatory. Nothing exciting.
Ron, you-
Issue figured out was 750 East Highway 22. I'm just gonna say something. We think so. Instead of pulling the car line, she pretty much falls on the floor and having a mistake.
Okay.
All right. Any other for the fire department? No? Anything? Moving on, police department, activity reports in your packet.
I'll get that.
Cool your jets.
Well, he is on top of it.
Yeah, wow.
This evening.
Bob, you want to say anything on the activity report?
Activity report, just normal business, I would say.
Any other for the police department?
Well, there would have to be.
Fancy that.
Are you ready, Donnie? Are you ready?
I read it 5 times.
Okay, you understand it?
I'm not gonna talk.
Okay, I handed out to most of you all, I believe, I know Heather's seen it, a sample ordinance from the city of Sedalia. This is something our city attorney actually drew up for the city of Sedalia. Reference a prepay or pay at the pump, ordinance. In the last 6 months, and actually I was just before my Lieutenant Cribbs, that actually, since April 1st, well, at April 1st, in 6 months, we've had over 45 drive-offs from different stations that we've went and taken reports on. Okay? And in the last 7 days, we've had 4 or 5 more. Lots of places are passing these prepay or pay at the pump ordinances. I've talked to several of the, I would say employees of the businesses around, you know, all the ones that serve gas, you know what I mean. And they're excited about it, because the fact is, know it or not, Casey's, for instance, they have a drive-off on their shift. The fact is, the clerk ends up paying for it.
Bob, license is a business decision. I mean, if it's an issue, why wouldn't they just simply require it?
I can't answer that, David.
Why do they need an ordinance?
Well, because the fact is, something has to force their hand.
At least it's a
Smoke
small
alarm there is all that.
Maybe she's smoking.
That's karma's what that is.
Wow.
Like I said, there's a lot of cities passing them. Today was one of the ones that, like I said, I know of.
Right.
Very simple ordinance, And the fact is, it's just a matter of, it's forcing the hands, because the fact is, you don't understand the time that it takes for us. We go to the station, are these solved? Hardly never, unless, because,
Unless they got a camera or something.
well, the fact is, unfortunately, the only business in town that has good cameras is Extreme Art. I can get a license plate number off of that, but the people at Casey's don't even have any outside cameras. Break Time has some outside cameras, but they're not worth it. Eagle stuff. And,
I don't know where I'm gonna get my gas now.
I know what you drive. We might end up with a description of a vehicle, maybe. The people at Casey's have to run out and say, oh, okay, what was that? I'm just asking you, look at this, we digest it, we talk about it, because like I said, it's just one of those things that takes an inordinate amount of time on our part, and we can eliminate it.
So it's the resource.
Yeah, it's, I mean, like I said, we're up to 50 in the last 6 months. You know, and the fact is all the corporate requires a report, or at least them to report, please, which means we have to go there
Right.
and talk to them. And like I said, are the biggest share solved? No. And because the fact is, I don't have enough information. I mean,
So what this ordinance does, it just basically tells the gas station.
it
that
tells
they have to
Casey's,
have-
it tells break time, it tells
Prepaid
Eagle Stop, or pay the pump, and that's it. You know, I mean, I'm sure we've all experienced it around central Missouri, the fact is, there's a lot of them that do it now anymore,
Yeah,
so.
I kind of look at it.
I don't know how Sedalia does it, but can the businesses be fined if the receipt paper doesn't come out? Because there's been thousands of times
Unfortunately,
you don't know if you paid or not, you're afraid to drive off, you just drive off real slow.
Sir, that my city attorney is not here, I would have to defer to her on that question.
Okay, yeah, a small fine for the receipt paper, especially in the wintertime, they really don't do it, but sometimes you don't know if they took your card or not. And, you just kinda wave and figure we'll meet you down the road.
We have
I go inside
had
and make them give me a receipt.
I don't wanna
You
go
are correct.
I
But I
can't
know how
afford to
you
go
are, you don't
inside.
have time to go inside and get your receipt, I know, you're always on the go.
But Sedalia probably does that, so I've read through this, but they don't. But,
It's not in that ordinance.
Yeah.
But I want to bring it to your attention, let you look at it, we can discuss it later, and go from there.
We do have this in a Centralia ordinance form ready for Monday night if you all would like to move forward.
Why
Or if you
don't
want
the-
more time, you know.
Why don't the businesses just do it themselves? Why do we
That was
have to
my,
make
that
an
was what I
ordinance?
said.
That's
Okay.
my question too.
I cannot force, you cannot force a business without an ordinance to do it.
Well, no, but-
Because, well, and I will tell you why, I will tell you why. Most stores have built-in locks.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? Most places have built-in locks. Walmart has built-in locks.
Well, I mean, I know people in town who only pay with cash, who are gonna be madder than holy.
If they don't pay the cash, it's prepaid.
Well, but you don't know how much gas you're gonna need if you wanna
Here's your
fill
$20
your
bill, go and
tank.
get your change. I'm
$20
sorry.
won't cover a gas tank of gas.
Well, you know what you got. But what I want you to understand is, the fact is the amount of time my officers have to spend responding
No,
to
I
these things is
understand
ridiculous.
that.
Yeah.
That to me is actually the only
Good
legitimate
reason
argument
to.
on this. Because to me, the business, it's their loss if they.
It is their loss, but
So-
the fact is my guys have to
Well, that's what I'm saying,
respond.
so we're legislating because of the amount of resources taken from the
Correct.
police department.
That is correct.
Not that we're worried.
I don't want to tell them what to do.
To me, it's a business decision on them, speaking of the business owner.
I kind of attribute that back to many years ago. We were asked to pass a smoking ordinance against restaurants allowing smoking inside indoors. And I'm like, that's entirely up to the business owner, well, whether he wants to allow that or not. I think this is very similar, is if the business is,
Except for smoking ordinance
Except for-
does not bother me a bit.
right.
I just,
So,
I just won't go.
I think we ought to ask the businesses if they wanna do it, instead of just make this ordinance and say.
I will
do
tell
it.
you, the thing is though, try and get a hold of Casey's corporate and ask what they're gonna say. Ask the employees is who you ask, and that's who I did ask.
Well,
It comes out of their pocket.
maybe we should, delay this a little bit, let people take advantage of it for a little while.
I mean, I just,
All right, Don, now I know what you need gas tonight or what?
Yeah, I do need to
I
how do we handle when a business has a burglar alarm that goes off excessively?
Well, that's up to us. I mean, the fact is,
That's
we
what
don't.
The point is I'm making is, could we not tell those businesses, we can't keep responding every time you have a drive-off. You need to implement an ordinance.
And then implement your own.
Well,
Yeah,
Your
they're
own rule, right, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
so you want me to refuse to respond to calls for service?
No, I'm not saying
No,
that. I'm
that's
saying-
what you're saying?
Is that
That's
what I
what,
said?
that's what you're
That's
saying.
not what I said.
You're saying,
That sounds
we're not
like
gonna
a
take your
baby.
call, we're not gonna take your, we're not gonna respond to your call. That's a refusal to respond to a call for service.
I said, how's that baby doing?
Still breathing.
Am I wrong?
Well, that's what it amounts to, yes.
I'm just saying. This is a simple fix. It forces their hand, and it keeps my officers freed up on the road. That's all I'm asking. You all discuss it.
In the end, guys, this doesn't really affect the businesses themselves, because they're still getting money. This affects the employees in the businesses that are having to pay for fuel that they didn't purchase.
Right. Technically, I'm not sure that they can legally do that, but it's,
But they do.
but they do it, yes.
I don't know if it's legal or not.
Well, if they're paying them less than minimum wage as a result of it, it is illegal.
So in that situation, are they assuming that the clerk should have had the wherewithal to understand that's a shady character, I better not turn on or authorize the sign?
Yes.
And that's basically what
Yeah, they're holding the clerk responsible.
well, for not having, prognosticating that this person is going to drive off.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do? Just think about this for a while and bring it back up later?
Whenever you all are ready to.
That's
to
what
bring it
we
back
yeah,
up
yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
We need to do that,
We need to
maybe.
think about it, talk to our constituents.
So you're not ready for this next Monday? That's all I
I think it could be on the agenda, but it might be tabled.
You don't wanna forget about it, but I think we need to ask some businesses. I would
Yeah,
like
I think
to,
they need
or some owners.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's a thing we need to do, but there's that one business that might just, I don't think there is. You already done your homework and you know
I've
that,
done my homework. I told
They
you, like I
know.
said, the people that it affects are your employees of those businesses.
And our police department.
That's the only
And-
people it
and
really
man-hours.
affects.
Man-hours.
You know, the fact is 90% of the time I slide a card to pump anyway, but the fact is, there's a lot of people obviously that do not.
Yeah.
Well,
And I hear you the concerns of the police department, I really do, but I struggle with legislating what a business has to do. That's why I'm just sure, that's what I'm trying to balance the two, it's hard to balance
I-
that.
She wrote that ordinance for
oh,
sale.
she did,
She wanted-
all right, well, any more discussion on this before we move on? All right. Emergency management. Nothing to report?
We actually had training on the rave system, and so we're gonna start doing internal, our phase one is internal alerts, so the board will have, we've already signed you guys up for some text alerts. But it'll be, like board meeting updates and things like that.
Don't worry, Lane, we won't send it to you 2 a.m.
But our phase one is just internal, we'll have set up,
Well, you are right.
departments, full-time employees, all those kind of things.
Gotcha.
And then phase two would be getting it out to the public, and the faster we get it out, the more thoroughly we get that out there, we can start doing community updates.
Can that replace us having to go into the PD and sign for,
For special board meetings?
I don't think it gets
Actually-
acknowledgement, does it?
Actually, we can use DocuSign, and if the board is familiar with DocuSign, we can send it I can send it out to all of you. You sign electronically, and Sydney says that it is okay to use it. So if you all are okay with that,
We
can
have that
start-
now from the new.
And we had the subscription now because we switched over our emails to an Office 365, and it came free with that. So, if you all are interested in that, we can send you the
I'm very
meeting
interested in
minutes,
that.
electronically,
Me too.
and you can sign electronically.
Can they fax and stuff too? I assume the fax would be just as good, wouldn't it?
If you want to, but with the DocuSign, you can sign on your phone.
Right.
I don't know how to use my phone anyway, so.
You have a flip
Linda,
phone,
can you
don't you?
No, I don't know any more
Is
about
yours a
it than he
jitterbug or
does.
something?
I know how to answer it, that's about
Well, I
it.
was kidding, that, but I don't know how to use it.
I will fax it to you.
Great, thank you. Protective inspection.
We are still waiting on the final bid packets for the Narragansett building, but, we've been told that they're working on it. So.
Moving on to general government and finance, economic development, Chamber of Commerce minutes and agenda are in your packet. Questions or comments? Is there anything to point out?
Well, there are two contracts in there, two service agreements, whatever. One is the old one, which apparently says lots of stuff in there that, that's never been followed.
Clause 6 in particular.
And yes, clause 6 in particular. And then there, Jenny did some research on this, and you realize this language has been used since, Heather said at least 1988.
Right.
And it is, well, basically, never been questioned, or if it was, the answer was, well, we don't do that, and we went on and ignored it. But nobody's ever suggested we rewrite it, so Jenny got on the internet and she looked up some things, and she looked up service contracts for other cities, and she found out that none of them require an audit, and most of them she thought were better written than the contract we have. I don't know who wrote this one up, but I can take a guess.
I know who it was.
Red line.
And that contract doesn't even say what we're gonna do, the present one. This newer contract, it actually has a list of the things that we're proposing to do, which would be updated, on every time the contract is renewed. But I mean, it tells you specifically what the chamber is going to do for the city, and for its members and stuff. And it's a much simpler, cleaner contract, but she based it upon cities that are larger than Centralia. One city gets $25,000 a year, and there's no audit required. None of them required an audit that she found. So she wrote up this other one, and to me, it looks like a much better contract than the one that we're dealing with at the present time. I would suggest that we just substitute the one for the other.
Sydney has reviewed both. She said that there are no state statutes or laws that require that we ask for an annual audit. So it would be up to the board if they want to change the current contract to take that wording out of it. She would recommend that we do ask for some sort of accounting measures, maybe a report or budget report, things like that, just to kind of show where the money's going.
Yes, and this does have some of that in there at the bottom.
Yeah.
The chamber shall render a full and accurate accounting for all expenditures made by it pursuant to the agreement. City funds will be used to support the above listed programs, including advertising to promote the community. Chamber is asking,
Why isn't Jenny here explaining all this, is what I wanna know.
because I'm here.
It don't matter, you're not the president of Chamber of Commerce.
Yes,
But that's
Yeah,
fair for me.
Or that runs it,
The director.
the director, sorry.
Was our old contract a 2-year contract?
Yeah, we have always been.
Always been a 2-year contract.
And I looked back from 1988. We actually started giving them $12,000 in 1988.
How much?
12,000.
So if you guys miss on a deliverable, is there a refund?
Actually, the way the other one was written was that after they provide that, that they have paid this certain amount, that's when we give the money. We don't typically even give the money until October. So that's after Anchor Fest and the
Sure,
barbecue
there's a lot of people
contest, so they've usually spent that amount. It's really just a reimbursement.
I'm happier with the second.
I think it's a better written one than the first one. Like I say, I can take a guess as to who wrote the first one. It's got a lot of stuff in there, and it doesn't really say much.
And then you all have a hard copy of the proposed budget for 2019, 2020. That's the list of them.
Yeah.
questions on that information?
Do you have a preference on how we move forward with this, because this will be on the agenda next Monday night for a final approval?
I think it should use the second contract, along with the deliverables outlined.
And there should be some stipulation on the budget being supplied, and it doesn't need to be a formal audit, but, you know, how were the expenditures spent at the end of the month, or at the end of the year compared to the budget?
Well, and this does say that, the chamber shall render a full and accurate accounting of the expenditures made by a pursuant to contract. Which, there's no problem with that.
Is there a document number on this?
I'd like to see a budget at the beginning of the year.
No, but it's on.
We've already documented it. You should have it here, that way we know when it was made.
No, it doesn't say that.
I can put that in the bottom.
We can put, we can always type that in there if you want.
Or written by Don Warren.
It wasn't written by me. I'm not smart enough to find that stuff.
Comment.
Any other comments on this? Park board? There's an agenda. And meeting minutes, and approved from Friday's meeting. Any questions or comments? Moving on, cemetery report, I assume there is none.
No.
Okay. Tree board report, Arbor Day proclamation.
Have to sign the Arbor Day proclamation, and I believe that
Is it in the paper?
it's in the paper.
I think it's this week.
It's, this Friday.
Last Friday.
Last Friday.
Oh, it was last Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, paper.
So did they, plant some trees last Friday?
Library board, there are meeting minutes from your meeting on March 14th. On the agenda before 11. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, moving on to March 2019 financial statements. The information is in there. Heather, is there anything you want to point out specifically?
No, these are our year-end statements minus our year-end accruals that will happen during our audit. The audit is, interim field work will be May 17th, and then the audit is June, I think 10th, that week of June 10th. Yep, 10th through the 14th.
Bills over $1,250, that's actually on the last page. Questions or comments?
We're supposed to get final plans already approved.
I have not, I just need to talk to them. We talked to them 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, he was gonna draw things up.
No other questions?
Is that the last payment for Maze Meadows?
Yeah, and that also includes Lake View and Jefferson, which is very smooth.
Ladies, smooth as it was.
Are they happy in Maze Meadow, the people?
I don't know, people, I don't know, you
Are
can't.
they dancing in the
You
streets?
apparently cannot drift in your golf
He
cart.
looks happy.
Actually, I was sharing with Mike earlier, it doesn't flow real well in several areas. I end up after the rainstorm, have my entire driveway, front of my driveway, where it meets the streets covered, 3 feet wide, and I'm not the only one who's commented on it, so. There's a couple of us that, you would expect brand new gutters and everything to flow towards the drain. It's not in all the areas.
Well, I don't know what the grades are, but, they're not very, it's Centralia, so they're
It's
pretty
flat.
flat.
It's
Yeah.
very
And-
And
minimal.
I've got I believe my lot is the lowest in the area right there. So believe me,
Yeah.
There's
The
a reason
minimum
why I have
grade,
sump pumps under my
the
house.
minimum grade typically used on designs is 0.5%. and at 0.5%, you will get water ponding and,
No, I don't even think it flows at all.
I mean, but I mean, at a 0.5% slope, if you try to pour concrete to that, you will get ponding in there because you just cannot do it. You can't get it that close.
Bill and I will look at that next good rain and stuff we've got, kind of see what we got and see if there's anything that we can maybe do to help that or see what the situation is.
Or 10 years from now, at the edge of my driveway, what the problem would be if, and I'm, like I said, I'm not the only one that mentioned it. The other guy in the corner, I can't remember what number he's at. Same side of the block I'm on, but the other corner.
Maybe the city will buy you a permit and you can start a lot of these
Is it
things.
Todd
Just
Yeager?
squeegee.
The squeegee.
Squeeze it.
Yeah.
Okay, any other for general government? Any as may arise?
I got a letter that everybody's got in front of them. It's about, 721 Green Street. I guess they've got scrap metal and all kinds of stuff all over the yard. Unlicensed trailers in the street, full of scrap metal, sharp objects. They would just like that to be taken care of.
Okay. Did you give a copy of this to Bob?
No,
To
you can
give
have this from Bob.
to give to, Randy.
721 Green sounds familiar. It may already be on top of
Yeah.
this, but we'll double check.
Oh, yes.
We have several similar ones pending in court. Like this year so far, we've had, this is our second, I believe, that we've missed court,
Not because of us, but
It's the judge. set by the circuit court, so it will be handled.
So there are pending tickets for this person.
This one plus others that are, you probably heard about as well.
Thank you.
We would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move that we adjourn?
I have a motion, do I hear a second?
Aye.
Motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, we stand adjourned.
You may need